Hey, there's glass on this beach. Today is one of those days I wished I got a little kick out of caffeine. But wouldn't you know it, my whole life I've never had any kind of a buzz from caffeine. I really wonder what that must be like. But on a day that I am dragging like I am today, I wished that I got a little buzz out of this cup of coffee. Okay, so I'm gonna put my coffee making stuff away, and I've got some things to do, so this is why I'm trying to force myself up and get moving today. I got up at 8:30, but I think it's after 9 already. I'm moving slow. So today we are in Fort Bragg, and Fort Bragg is about 150 miles or so north of San Francisco, and this is in Mendocino County, one of the many fine little towns in Northern California, and I'm quite fond of Fort Bragg, even though I'm parked here in a residential neighborhood and kind of next to a city park here, just outside of the downtown area of Fort Bragg. It was super quiet last night, so I had a nice night of sleep. You would think I wouldn't be so tired after sleeping so nice in such a quiet, peaceful town, but I am tired. I've been tired for the last couple of weeks, and I'm tired of being tired too. So this parking spot here is pretty typical of a spot that I park in, and it's pretty typical of Northern California cities here, especially for this county and the one up north of where we are right now, which is Humboldt County, which is where I was before I came down here to Mendocino County. This is kind of my preferred area, both Humboldt and Mendocino, up here in Northern California. There goes another van dweller just now by us. I won't record him, but he's in a big box van. I think he's one of those stealthy van life people, but I'm not being stealthy, I'm just parking. I don't know why I'm talking about being stealthy. Stealth van life doesn't exist. Just live your life, especially if you're up here in Northern California where it's very friendly. Anyway, I've got a little project to do, and I mean a very little project to do. I've been having some issues with my van, and I did some testing and found that I need some new parts. Parts wear out, of course. Nothing lasts forever, much like my heart. So I'm going to go get some parts that I ordered yesterday. Fort Bragg's kind of a small town. We're kind of a outlier here, so I did have to get them ordered in, but luckily they were in Willits, which is right up the mountain here from us. So ordered them yesterday. They should be in this morning, so we'll drive over to Napa and pick them up, hopefully. Let's see how this goes today. We have a very short drive here. We're just a few blocks away from Napa. I didn't plan that, but it makes it easy to start the day out. I prepaid for these parts, so it should just be a quick in and out. Now, they were indeed there and waiting for me. Got 4 boxes because these are ignition coils, and I have a 4-cylinder engine. Just pop them open and take a look at them. So Napa is not my first choice of a place to buy from because they're usually more expensive than everybody else, but I wanted this brand of part, NGK. I believe NGK makes some parts for Chryslers, so I thought they'd be a safe bet to go with. I thought there was a dealership, a Chrysler dealership here in town, and I drove over there before I came to Napa here yesterday and realized it's not a Chrysler dealership anymore. So I didn't even stop to look at parts there, but the price of these at a dealership is outrageous. I checked online, over $100 a piece for these at a dealer. These are pricey enough. These are these are about $50 a piece here from Napa. Lots of money, but unfortunately, like I was saying earlier, parts wear out over time. It's time to replace these. Now, Napa here did have the original replacement parts for, I think they want $118 a piece for them, he said. Then they had some cheaper ones as well, and I just didn't want to go with any no-name brand parts. I want to go with something that I knew I could trust for a little bit, especially with it being such an expensive part. I don't want to take any chances. It's very noisy here, unlike where I parked last night. I was parked just a few blocks up from Route 1 here, so this is Route 1 that runs right down through Fort Bragg. So bit of a noisy area because lots of traffic going through town. It's kind of the main way to get around down here is Route 1. So we need to go find a place to do a little bit of work, and I think we'll go just a few blocks farther. There's a place called Noyo Headlands, and there's a big parking lot there, so I can just pop the hood and not concern anybody while I'm doing this simple little job. Usually I back into a spot because I'm driving a cargo van that has no windows, so it is kind of hard to see behind me. So I normally back in because it's safer to pull out. Although I guess that's kind of an irritation to some people that we do that. Those of us that drive cargo vans do that. But it is the safer way to park. But I figure since I'm going to be working under the hood here, I should probably just pull in this way so that I'm away from the traffic. So we're right in front of the dog park here. This is a popular dog park. I'm surprised there's nobody here at the moment. But a really nice area out here, the Noyo Headlands, which I have a terrible time saying for some reason. Very nice spot out here. We'll go walk out there, but I need to get this done because it's been far too long that I've been putting this off. I don't know what I just said, but in case that was confusing, what I should have just said was work first, and then maybe we'll have some fun later. That's easier instead of just whatever I said there. I just need a couple of simple tools to do this, and I might even set a timer, or at least keep track of how long this takes, because it's not going to take very long at all. Just taking the beauty cover off first, and all of a sudden remembering that I just drove like a mile, which means the van is good and hot. Not terribly hot, but hot enough that I don't want to do this for a minute. So I guess that means I can sit and enjoy my coffee for a second, let this cool down. We'll come back to this. So I guess I get to play hooky from work for a little bit, don't I? I haven't even done anything yet, and I've already cut myself. So I just washed up my hands, put a Band-Aid on so I don't make a mess. I do have plenty of Band-Aids. Silly. I think what that means is my hands are too soft because I'm not working on my van enough myself. I think I've just been lucky that I haven't had to work on my van much myself. Anyway, just a minor little scrape. I just realized what this means. The universe is telling me I need to stop, take a few minutes and eat breakfast before I do anything else. So I'm gonna do that. And instead of making something that I really should eat, like eggs or something, because I am supposed to eat protein first thing in the morning, I'm just gonna eat some toast with plenty of butter, of course. But I've got some of this local sourdough, and this is something that I kind of crave. So whenever I'm in Fort Bragg, I buy plenty of this. This is my second loaf now since I've been back in town, maybe third, I forget. It's not cheap bread, but it's fantastic. One of the better sourdoughs you'll find anywhere, and it's made right here locally. And if you look at the ingredient list, it's got just a really clean ingredient list. You can read everything. There's just a few ingredients here, and that's what I look for when I'm buying a loaf of sourdough. I don't want to see a bunch of ingredients, especially ingredients that I have to Google to find out what they are. The best part of toast, of course, is the butter that I get to slather all over it. And I have some sort of local butter too. My butter is made from a small company called Rumiano, and they are from the next county up. So I'm having a Northern California breakfast here. Yeah, here we go. Light toast, heavy butter, just the way I like it. This is all about the butter delivery device. Before I make another cup of coffee and sit here and be leisurely all day, let's jump out and get this little job done, because I'm sure the engine is cooled off by now. It's a little windy out here. It's been windy the past few days, although I don't want to complain about the wind because there's been a bunch of flies out here. They've been driving me crazy. So it seems like it's a little better with the wind. It's keeping the flies away. So normally I hate the wind, but I'm actually liking it today just because I've had enough of the flies. So I said I needed tools, plural, but I really only need one tool for this. But I always grab my screwdriver just in case. This is pretty handy for all kinds of things, but I'm going to set those aside for just a second because first things first, whenever we're working on electrical stuff, we always want to disconnect the battery terminals, and they make it really easy on these ProMaster Cities. On the negative terminal here, they have a quick disconnect, so you can just pull it off really quick and easy like, and I'm just going to set that aside, and now we are good to go. And I'm trying to make a point in saying all the things that I should be saying so that nobody gets after me again. But you know everybody's going to get after me because you know I'm going to do this wrong. But of course I'm just kidding around. I'm doing this the correct way. I do appreciate the people that did let me know that these need to be tested first. Yeah, I should have left that in the video, so it's good on any of you that did point that out, that these need to be tested first. If you do this, one thing that I like to do is I like to take a Sharpie, and this is a metallic Sharpie, just because this is black plastic, it shows up a little bit better with a metallic Sharpie. So this was the only decent ignition coil that I had. So I just marked that with a number 4 because this was the number 4 cylinder. So that way I can keep track. Even with just 4 cylinders, it can get confusing if you're moving them around to keep track of what is the good one and what is not. So that's what I do just to keep track of them. Okay, so I'm all done. That was about a half an hour, but I have been fiddling with my tripod, my microphone, and a guy stopped and chatted with me for about 5 minutes or so about the van. He wanted to know if this was a van to buy, and I said, no, don't buy this van. Buy something else. So we chatted a little bit. Nice guy. So half an hour with all that. So probably if you're mechanically inclined, which I am not, this is a 10-minute job. And if you were to take this to a shop, they always mark up the parts. So I paid $50 a piece for these coils because they are a better brand. So, they're going to mark them up quite a bit over that. Dealer parts are over $100 a piece. So keeping that in mind, let's just say $100 each for the coils. So $400 for my engine. And then they're going to charge a flat fee of an hour at least, probably an hour and a half, because that's, how they do things in shops. So, you're looking at $550, $600 for this job at a shop or a dealer, or you can do it yourself for admittedly kind of a lot of money because it's $200 in parts that I spent, but I am not charging myself for labor. I refuse to pay myself. So, saving a little bit here, but the big question is it gonna start, because we've swapped out electrical parts. They make that easy there, don't they? And yes, that is a mouse trap. We'll talk about that in a moment. First I want to start this up. It's running smoother than it usually does when it's starting up, especially when it's a cold start, which I think this would technically be a cold start. So I think so far things are good. I mean, at least if it starts, that's a good sign. So I've bagged up the old parts. I'm not going to toss these out yet. I'll hang on to these just for a little bit because, well, I'm not very trusting, and I'm not very trusting with anything at all. So I'm just going to hang on to those for a little bit. It's definitely running smoother, so that's a good thing, but I don't really know if this is going to solve the misfire problem, unfortunately, because there's lots more things that could be going on with this van. But I feel better having at least something taken care of. I try to take care of things when I can afford it, and early on I wasn't able to afford to maintain the van as much as I'd like to, other than oil changes, which honestly with this van is kind of the biggest thing because of that engineering defect that they have with these engines. The big issue is with the variable valve timing system, and if you put the wrong oil in these or don't change the oil enough, you will have problems with these. That's what we know. So I have kept up on the most important thing to keep up on, but now I'm just kind of scrambling on all the things that I haven't done in the past that if I've got the money, I'm just going to do. And especially because this was much cheaper for me to do it myself because of what a simple job this is. Well, I almost forgot to tell you about the mouse traps, didn't I? So you see this one on top of the battery, and then I also have a couple more, one each on the top of the wheel wells. And that goes back to when I spent a winter in Arizona, and there were a few spots there that the mice were terrible, and I tried doing all the things that they tell you to do to chase them away because I didn't want to harm them. But you know, it just got to a point that the peppermint oil and the cinnamon just, I could tell, weren't doing anything at all. I don't know why they kept trying to get into my engine bay because I was camping for multiple days at a time. It wasn't like my engine was warm, but they were getting in there and nesting in there. And so to ensure that I didn't have any, you know, chewed on wires or anything, because that's a, you know, huge problem with mice, I resorted to the traps, and that actually works really well. I was finding that they were crawling up the tires and then getting in the engine bay that way, so that's why I put one on each of the tops of the sides of the engine. And I actually had more in there at one time, just kind of scattered about. They're held in place with Velcro, so it makes it easy to just clean them out. Hopefully I don't have to deal with that anymore, but I've just left them there because they were useful, and if I ever go back to Arizona, who knows, I might need them again. I hope not, though. So it's been a while since I've had any issues with mice, but I have had some issues with other little pests. Lately I've really been going crazy trying to get rid of some spiders that have been living all over my van. I think I picked them up when I was in Seattle last. I'm not exactly sure, but it just seems like I was noticing a bunch of webs when I was out in, well, in the Olympics, I guess, so near Seattle, and I just have not been able to get rid of them. I bought some spider killer, except it's kind of natural stuff. It's got like clove and cinnamon oil in it, and it doesn't really seem to work very well. So I think I'm gonna resort to buying the bad stuff and actually killing them, because I think the stuff I got just mostly just makes them run away. Not doing the trick. Now, since I have some of this great sourdough bread, I'm gonna make myself a sandwich, grilled cheese sandwich, of course. I also have some local cheese. Well, this is from the next county down south of us here, Petaluma Creamery cheese. This has become my favorite cheese, and I am happy to get it again. Make a good pairing here and make a fantastic grilled cheese sandwich, which is one of my favorite things to eat because, you know, I can't eat tacos every day. Not the best looking grilled cheese I've ever made, but it'll do. And I was just joking about the tacos. I could eat them every day. Huh. The parking lot is cleared out here. I'm not really sure why. It is quite windy, so maybe the wind has chased everybody away. Still keeping the flies away, that's good, although I've got a couple in the van, so they're driving me crazy inside. So there's another reason that I should hold off making another cup of coffee right now, which is what I want to do. Let's just go out and walk out on the headlands. Not an ideal day for it, but it's still pretty out there. I think it's maybe 60 degrees or low 60s today. So pretty comfortable temperature-wise, but boy, the wind is crazy. But it has been windy the last few days for some reason. I don't know why. But it is beautiful out here. Actually, I'm doing pretty good with the edge. There's a big steep cliff here. Usually I can't get quite close to it because my vertigo acts up, but we're doing good today, so we'll wander around here, give you a little look at the view out here. There's a trail here and it goes for miles. It basically goes all the way from where we are to the complete opposite side of the city. It just goes right along the coastline here. So if you want to walk, this is a good place to do it. Dog friendly too, although you're supposed to have your dog on a leash, but there's a dog friendly area, as is all of Fort Bragg and most of Northern California. I'm trying to paint a nice picture of Northern California because it's pretty chill up here. You know, people are very nice, very outgoing, kind of like the guy that came up to me when I was just starting to do the coil swap. He just pulled up because he saw my van and wanted some information, so he just started talking to me. Super nice guy, you know, chatted a little bit. I guess he's living out of his car, so he thought my van looked pretty good. And I said, yeah, don't do it. He was driving a Ford, so he says, well, Ford makes a transit van, right? A little Transit Connect. It's kind of like your van. And I said, yeah, get one of those. Get one of those. Stay away from this one. I know people don't like it when I talk bad about my van. My van's been great for me for 9 years now, but could be better, and so that's why I just don't recommend them. Anyway, look at this view. I'm heading down a cliff here to get a little view of a big punch bowl right alongside of the trail. Now this one I have a hard time getting near because it always messes up my vertigo, so I'll get as close as I can, but you're gonna have to come and take a look at yourself if you want to get a good look at this. I'm actually getting chilly because of the winds. Temperature feels nice. The sun feels amazing. And that's all good. But boy, the wind's going right through me. I should have put my jacket on. You know what that means? It means it's coffee time. And instantly warmer. Whew. That wind makes a difference. I need to get the kettle on and make some coffee right away. Ooh, my hands are doing that thing that always happens when it's chilly. They just start to tighten up, and yeah, it's not too comfortable. But a cup of coffee will warm them up. I've just got a couple of cups left of this Humboldt Bay Humboldt's Finest, one of my favorite coffees when I'm in Northern California. And then I do have some truly local coffee. No, that's not right, do I? I went to buy some truly local coffee the other day at the store when I bought the bread, and I ended up buying some coffee that's from Sonoma County, so I probably won't be drinking any real local coffee here. The one thing about Mendocino coffee roasters is they tend to do a darker roast of coffee, and that's just not my thing. I like light roast, which is what this one is. This is pretty light roast. Here, I can show you maybe. The lighting's a little funny because I had to close the door because the wind was blowing out my stove, but yeah, you can see that. It's a lighter roast coffee. This is kind of like perfect. This is really just almost perfect for what I like. Maybe slightly lighter sometimes, but this one's so tasty, and they sell it around here quite a bit too. It's kind of considered local, I think, because it's not that far away. Although it's funny, when I drove here, I think Google Maps was saying it was going to be a 3-hour drive from where I was in Humboldt. Basically, I was in Eureka, and to get here to Mendocino County, Fort Bragg, so it was going to be about 3.5 hours, I think, Google Maps said. It took me 5 hours to get here. And part of that just was the van's not running great. So, you know, we don't have a lot of power, and it's really hilly and curvy. But I was happy to see that part of Route 1 was finished. They're working on it, and part of it's finished, part of it they're still doing some work on. But it was so much better than it was before. So it was kind of like having a nice wide lane to drive in, where before parts of Route 1 were kind of torn away and crumbling down, and it's a little bit scary driving in some of the spots because there are big drop-offs. There are a bunch of trees and stuff, so a lot of times it doesn't feel like there's a big drop-off, but if you slow down a little bit and look, you realize, whoa, that's a drop. And before they have fixed Route 1, in that really kind of hilly spot, it was bad. There were just really narrow parts of the road, and wasn't too comfortable, but now it's pretty nice. If you're geeky about coffee brewing and you grind your own coffee like I do, I have this hand grinder here, you might try spritzing your coffee beans just with a little bit of water. This is just plain water in a little spray bottle, and I bought a tiny one just because I don't have a lot of space to store it, so this one works out perfectly for me. But you just do 1 or 2 spritz for one serving of coffee, and it really works. It both makes the grinding better, and I think there's something to do with the flavor. It makes the flavor better too. So tried this out a while back, and it works so well, I'm sticking with it. So there's a funny thing about Fort Bragg. Whenever I mention Fort Bragg, California to people, I get usually one of 2 responses. One is that they think I'm talking about a different Fort Bragg on the East Coast. And then of course I have to say, no, there's a Fort Bragg in California. Or they say Glass Beach, right? Have you been there? I've wanted to go there. People seem to like Glass Beach. And if you don't know, there is a Glass Beach here in Fort Bragg. It's a popular tourist area. I've not been terribly keen on it because, well, it was a garbage dump, basically. They dumped a bunch of garbage, glass trash, I guess, thinking that it would just go out to sea. And over the years, it's tumbled, and so the beach there is kind of covered with these tumbled pieces of soft glass. And people go out and pick it up and take it home, which I don't think is right, because if it is a tourist area that you want to kind of look at and enjoy, why are you taking the glass? Shouldn't other people get to enjoy it too? So for varying reasons like that, I don't really ever go to Glass Beach, but we might have a good opportunity to go today because I should be driving the van a little bit, and I drive so little that this will just give me an extra mile or 2 today that I can put on the van so that I can then check to see if the parts have done their job and have made at least an improvement with the misfiring. I'm pretty sure that they are going to at least improve things, but of course I'd like to see that they fix the problem altogether, but I won't know that until I get some miles on. So we might as well just take this opportunity and drive down the other side of town and check out Glass Beach. Don't get too excited though, because not a lot of glass left to look at, but I'll show you what little we can find. Part of the reason I parked over here is because this is the dog park area. They have several little sectioned off areas, penned in areas, so people can let their dogs run, and I guess it's in sections so that you can maybe keep your dog away from other dogs if your dog isn't quite friendly or something, I guess. Kind of an interesting area out here. I've never really seen this kind of a setup for a dog park before, but I always like to park near dog parks because, you know, dogs are happy. You know, they make us all happy. And I can't have a pet myself. It's just a little too much responsibility for me at the moment. So whenever I can be around some dogs, kind of a nice thing. Although I generally don't get a chance to pet them, but every once in a while, somebody will be walking by, and especially around here, people are pretty friendly, so they'll stop by and chat with me. And then I can ask, hey, can I pet your dog? And that gets my dog petting in for the day. And then I remember that this is good. This is all I need. I don't need the full responsibility of having a dog. It's kind of surprising. There aren't that many people here. It's usually really jammed up out here all the time. And just for future reference, there are a couple of restrooms here. There's one on either side of that little shack. They're not very pleasant just because there's so many people that get through here every day. They tend to get a little bit overused. There is a water spigot though on the other side of that little shack, so if you do want fresh water, you can get that, and the water is actually good. I just filled up the other day here. All right, let's go walk. Should I put my jacket on? I think I should put my jacket on because I did get a little chilly before.
And
Now I might be dressed a little bit too warm, but we'll go with it. Actually, somebody left the door open here. Let's take a look to see how they are. Yeah, not bad. Not bad today. Guess it just depends. It isn't very busy today, so I guess that's why they're not too bad today. And there's the water fountain and the fresh water. It says foot wash station, but it's actually good, clean water. Of course, I put all my water through my Berkey filter, so that's why it doesn't bother me to use something that's labeled as a foot wash. But it actually smells and tastes good even if I don't put it through my filter. Just I put all the water that I drink, all my drinking water, through my Berkey filter, just because, well, I don't trust anybody or anything at all. I think I admitted that earlier. This really is not the best day to showcase this area. The wind is making this a little inhospitable, and I think it's blowing some sand like it was at Noyo Headlands. But we'll take a little look around as long as I can stand the wind. When I said inhospitable, I meant it. Of course, it's not unusual for it to be windy, but I've never seen it this windy before. This is insane. Maybe we'll go down to the beach, try to get tucked in away from the wind a little bit. Oh yeah, this is Glass Beach down below us. You can probably see people picking up the glass. Doesn't help. Still just as windy. Pretty though. Very pretty. I like it here. I really like it here a lot. A little cave. I don't know why I'm surprised to find one, but it's so cool. I tried to shimmy back in there to see how far it goes back, but I lost my nerve after about 5 feet. It starts to get a little bit small, but very cool that I found that. This wind has given us some nice big waves that are cool to look at, but it's a bit much to deal with. And even with how windy it is, it's not that cool, so I'm kind of overheating in my jacket here. So back to the van, at least for a little bit. I'm taking the long way back to the van because one, I don't really want to leave, although I'm getting a little wind burns. But if we go this way, I can show you some glass so that you can see the whole incredible Glass Beach deal. Okay, I was preoccupied. I was trying to talk to you, but going down these rocks, they're kind of slippery and I don't have my hiking shoes on, so I was kind of sliding around there a little bit. Here is Glass Beach. Let's find some glass. So I tried to find a spot here in the sun so that you can see some of this glass. It's a little hard to see here because most of it is pretty small, and a lot of it is this white glass that's left, although you can see some amber or brown colored glass here. There is some blue, or maybe it's called cobalt glass as well, but that seems to be the one that people like to, well, steal the most. But there's still quite a bit of little pieces here. There are other spots on this stretch of beach that have a little bit more glass than this does, but it's kind of getting picked over like we were talking about earlier. So that's pretty much why I don't like to come down here that often. It's usually kind of crowded, though it's not today at all. And it kind of bugs me that the glass is disappearing and people are taking it. So I just don't come out here very often, but there, we did it. I got to do the touristy things once in a while, although this has been multiple times I've been here. I don't really need to come back here. It is pretty though. I really like the waves, especially out in that direction where we were. Very, very pretty views out here, so definitely worth it for the waves. Not quite so much for the glass. And I gotta be careful again because now I'm going back up the hill and I've got my shoes, my barefoot shoes that have no soles on them. I tend to slip and slide. I actually fell down the hill the other day. And of course, I did that thing where you get up and look around. Did anybody see me fall? Somebody saw me fall, of course. Probably gonna have to close the door to cook some food, but I wanna make a little food. And it's too bad that I have to close the door because I've got a really good view out to the water right now. There's so many people around, I don't wanna really film it. Let's see, can I film it without showing anybody? Yeah, there's my view, pretty nice. But I am hungry, so I think I'm gonna make some mac and cheese, because when I got out that cheese earlier, I just all of a sudden got a craving for mac and cheese, so let's do that. This is funny, my fan is running. It's not turned on though, it's just the wind is going so fast outside, it's making my fan look like it's turned on. When I cook pasta, I don't bring the water up to a boil first, like you're supposed to do. I just put the pasta and the water in the pot, and you can kind of see that there a little bit. Oh, it's a little dark, isn't it? Let's try. Does that help a little bit? That might help. So just cover the pasta with maybe ½ inch of water, cold water, and then bring them both up to a boil together. And the pasta doesn't turn out perfectly, but it turns out good enough for me. And then while I'm waiting for that, and I do that because it not only saves time, but it saves gas, because I am cooking off of propane. I thought my phone was going to fall over there. Please stay. So while it didn't stay, did it? It didn't. I asked it nicely too. Okay, let's try that. Stay. So while that's coming up to a boil and cooking, I can work on my cheese, and of course I have some of this really good Petaluma Creamery cheddar, so that'll be the base of it, and I flavor it up with some organic bouillon cubes. These are the ones I like to use, and I'm gonna flavor this a little bit with not cherry jelly, but this is actually some bacon grease, because I did cook a couple of packs of bacon the last few weeks, and whenever I cook it, I just pour the grease into a container and use it for other things. So I'm going to use a little bit of that in here. That'll give it a little bit of bacony, smoky goodness, even though I don't have any bacon. I'm trying to stay away from bacon. I don't really want to be eating bacon, but it was on sale, so I bought some, and I'm not going to waste the fat because it's good and flavorful. So I was thinking about making some tortillas too, but that's a lot of work, making flour tortillas. And I really only like corn tortillas nowadays. But flour tortillas made with some leftover bacon fat, that's some good stuff. The one thing I wished I had were some frozen vegetables I could throw in here. I usually like to put some frozen peas in, but I don't have my freezer running right now. So this will just be cheesy, smoky, bacony, and I'll get a little flavor off the bouillon cube too. Okay, so this is cooked, and there's a little bit of liquid left, which I want, but I do need a little bit more liquid, so I'm going to add just a touch of this heavy cream. So just add a little bit of that in there, and then toss in this cheese while it's still hot, and then stir it around and get that melted. And because I left some of the pasta water in here, the starchy pasta water will bind together with the cheese and keep the cheese from splitting and make it nice and gooey and good, just like I think a stovetop mac and cheese will be. Okay, I probably went a little heavy on the cheese there. I know I don't normally do that, but kind of need the calories at the moment. I was sick a couple weeks back, and I'm trying to get the weight back that I lost from being sick. I'm going to give this a taste test, but I'm not going to use a spoon. I like the silicone spoon for cooking because I can stir up the pasta really well, but I don't like to eat from it, so I'm going to use my spork, because we all know a spork is the ultimate utensil. Oh, the bacon fat Boy, I didn't put too much bacon fat in that, but I can taste it. And honestly, I would have liked a little more, but that is really good. It's a little smoky and nice. I think, though, I had better add a little something to this. I do have a burger patty. I think I'm going to cook this burger patty off so I can have a little more protein. Okay, one burger atop my mac and cheese. I didn't wait for the burger. I've been snacking as I was waiting for it to cook. And I just want to say, before you get after me about not having any vegetables with my dinner, I did add vegetables to my mac and cheese. I added the world's best hot sauce, some Serrano chili from Yellowbird, into the mac and cheese. So I do have vegetables in here. I do have to go to the store tomorrow because there's a few things that I need. So I will buy a vegetable tomorrow at the store. But this is going to be good for tonight. Now that I'm done cooking, I can open my door back up and get my view back while I eat my dinner. And looks like we're getting close to sunset, so any minute now this parking lot's bound to fill up with people coming out to watch the sunset, because this is a really good place to watch the sun go down. So you might not believe me, but I was intending to make more mac and cheese than I can eat today so that I could have some leftovers tomorrow. I have been wanting to fry some mac and cheese because I've seen that done, and I don't think I've ever done that before. So I was thinking, maybe I'd do that tomorrow and eat a little bit more of it. But it was so good, and I was hungry, and even with that hamburger patty, I ate the whole thing. Oh well, I can always make more tomorrow. The Yellowbird actually really made that special. Not just the bacon fat, but the Yellowbird made it special. So very, very tasty. Guess I'm going to clean up here and hope that the wind dies down a little bit. I want to stay here for the sunset, hopefully, before I go find a place to park tonight. But I don't know, I'm feeling like tapping out because the wind is just so strong. It's getting chillier too. So it's just not real comfortable here. I was here the other night and watched the sunset. It was amazing. Hopefully we'll get another one tonight. I think I forgot to give my 2 cents about the parts and if they're doing anything or not. Now, of course, I didn't drive a whole lot. I think we only drove about a mile from where I put them in to driving over here. So not enough to have any definitive answer, but I definitely noticed a difference in throttle response. The van has been kind of irritating me a little bit. There's a strange kind of hesitation when I'm both pressing the throttle down and also lifting off of the throttle. And I was kind of wondering if that was related to the misfiring. I don't know that or not, but I did notice that the van was much smoother driving over here. There wasn't any of that hesitation at all with the throttle that I noticed. Again, I know I didn't drive enough to really get a good idea on that. So I think what I'm going to do is just take a little drive tomorrow. I drive so little that it's going to take me forever to figure out if the parts are actually good and working and if the problem's solved. So I'm just going to have to force myself to take a little drive out of town and get some miles under those, on those new parts, just to see that they're okay, and to see if there's another issue to get looked at. But that's part of the thing that I try to do. I try to keep my miles down, and Fort Bragg is one of those towns that I like to hang out in because when I'm here, I normally drive a mile or 2 a day. That's it. It's kind of nice that there's places to park at night really close to the coast here where I've got parking, and like here I've got water that I can fill up my water tanks at. So it's a really nice place to be. So generally when I'm here I don't do much driving, so I'll have to force myself to just take a little trip tomorrow, which isn't a bad thing. Lots to see around here, so that'll be good. And then I'll give you an update when I know more. And it's getting chilly out. I think it's time to put my jacket on. Well, with the winds picking up and it getting to be a bit chillier, I don't think I want to wait around here until the sun sets. I think I may just go find a parking spot, and I'll probably be parking just about 2 or 3 blocks away from here, so I'll probably come back and watch the sunset later, but I think that means I'm gonna just call it quits here and say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.